Hi, what's up? This is Fazbear Lover here, or Fazzy, whichever. So what I'm planning to do is to continue our story videos. Which part 2, if you like this video, please subscribe and like. Share this channel with your friends and spread the gospel. So, last video we were looking into Freddy's backstory and the child that possesses him. Now, this episode will be about our cute little bunny, Bonnie. This video is dedicated to my friend. Bonnie is his favorite. Now that I got that out of the way, bring the tunes and jam on your guitars, cause we look at Bonnie the Bunny. Like I said in the last video, the year is 1983, a wonderful year for a golden age. The music, the clothes, the style, things were perfect. One thing was wrong though, and that little business was known as Fredbear's Family Diner. It shut down due to reports of an incident known as the
Was that the bite?
Fredbear's hit it really rough. Just so you know, Fredbear's is a precursor to Freddy Fazbear, which, you know, if you know Freddy Fazbear, that was from the last video, and I talked all about how Fredbear is his precursor. But in this video, I'm talking about how Spring Bonnie is Bonnie's precursor, and so there's that. So, yeah, Bonnie, like Freddy, was in the Fredbear's location, but the location was Fredbear and Friends, not the original. I actually never really touched on this, but there was believed it to be a Freddy Fazbear's as the second location of Fredbear's, but that's a whole can of worms I don't want to try and open. I'm gonna do it anyway. Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are retired and put into Freddy Fazbear's, locked behind a locked room, and Freddy stays open. The robot's thriving and a murder happens outside the restaurant. The place is condemned. That child, known as Charlotte Emily, would become known as another animatronic, the puppet, which is another character I will talk about in another video. You know, a lot of these characters I'll talk about. After it shuts down, Bonnie and all of his friends are thrown into despair and left to rot in 1987. In 1987, a new Freddy Fazbear opens. One of the owners, known as William Afton, murders 5 kids in the location. Those kids were Gabriel, Fritz, Jeremy, Susie, and Cassidy. If you don't know about Gabriel, well, I talked about him in the last video. He's the child that possesses Freddy. Their bodies were all stuffed in their respective suits. Like, you know, that pretty creepy, just vile and disgusting. What kind of monster would do that? That monster, yeah, was William Afton. So, the kid Jeremy, not to be confused with Jeremy Fitzgerald, they are not the same person. Jeremy, once a kid who was enjoying his friend's birthday party, suddenly felt a cold, hard thunk as his face got ripped away. Bonnie, now possessed by Jeremy, kills any security guard that looks like William Afton out of rage. Bonnie's overall look is very different compared to his friend Freddy, but does have some similarities. His older pre-built form, known as Withered Bonnie, has a damaged appearance, which is due to an attempted retrofit of the older animatronics, but, you know, how Fredbear's didn't work out, that's kind of, you know, yeah. So, you know, they got scrapped for the newer models, which Bonnie got thrown into the back room, and Toy Bonnie, which, you know, the toys, I'll talk about in another video. They're the replacement. Like Withered Freddy, Withered Bonnie also has 2 buttons on his chest. His face has been gutted. So yeah, he's got no face at all. But you see what I did there when I talked about Jeremy? Yeah, it's whatever. Most of it being removed, revealing his endoskeleton mechanisms and dangling wires. His lower jaw remains, featuring more teeth than his future self, although the jaw itself still appears to be very functional. Which is kind of weird because, you know, he's got no face. I honestly never really understood that as a person who was a hardcore fan of the old games. I never really understood how Bonnie, his face could work without having a face. Usually, because you have to have a face for it to work. Okay, I'll shut up. His eyeballs are gone. Yeah, so, yeah, it's pretty weird. Exposing glowing red irises. His left arm is missing entirely, bearing a tiny stripe on the topmost section with a mass of torn wires in its place. The red layering of his mouth has been removed, making his teeth seem longer than before. Withered Bonnie's right ear is most likely seen being folded, similar to a stereotypical rabbit. His suit has become tattered, particularly around the legs and a few loose wires poke out of his body. The covering on his right hand and left foot have come off, revealing more of his endoskeleton. He also seems to have a bigger stomach, as it looks more rounded and bigger than his upper body. Also, his chin does not squash his bow tie. Now, and his suit seems to have changed to a darker shade of blue. Like the original Bonnie, Wither Bonnie also wears a red bow tie. So yeah, like his future self. That's original. Bonnie and the other withered animatronics haunt the unsuspected security guard Jeremy Fitzgerald till the end of his week. Jeremy is the night guard at this time. At the end of his week, Jeremy switched over to the day shift and is killed by one of the animatronics. Jeremy's frontal lobe is completely destroyed. This event was known as...
Was that the bite of 87?
Yeah. So, yeah, you're pretty much getting the whole gist of it. I mean, Freddy's is kind of... Fazbear Entertainment is kind of overall just a really bad company. They're not very great at trying to keep people safe as what they want to do, which is... It's a little sad, but we'll come to talk about it. We'll come to talk more about it as we get into more Bonnie stories. So let's continue. In 1992, Bonnie and his friends were refurbished and cleaned up. Bonnie now is an indigo-colored animatronic bunny with blue accents, magenta eyes, and a squarish muzzle. The color from his muzzle, stomach, and insides of his ears is a lavender color. He sports long articulate ears that are capable of bending backwards and forwards, similar to the other animatronics, which, if you didn't hear me talk about it, I also, talked about that with Freddy. His ears were able to do that as well. He wears a red bow tie with a neck strap that is partially obstructed by his chin on stage. He carries a dark red guitar, which actually is modeled after the Gibson Flying V, which if you this picture right here, you can see the similarities. You can see a lot of the similarities. I mean, that's just kind of his thing. Unlike the other characters, he has round teeth and lacks eyebrows, excluding his head. Most of Bonnie's body appears identical to Freddy's, apart from the latter's color. This version of Bonnie, like most of the classic animatronics, except for Foxy, which, I'll talk about Foxy eventually, has no visible teeth on his upper jaw. For the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location in 1993, a security guard named Mike Schmidt, aka Michael Afting, comes to work here. Bonnie is curious about this new friend, so Freddy sends him after Mike. Mike succeeds on not letting Bonnie or the others attack. At the end of the week, Mike decides to tamper with the animatronics. Bonnie and his friends are left to rot once again. Now, no one to play with or no one to talk to. Jeremy and the other children were very, very alone. The place was dead. One night, while they weren't expecting it, William Afton came back to destroy them. Freddy went down with a loud bang. Jeremy, hearing his friend scream in pain, he saw his friend in pieces. William then came and tore him to pieces. Jeremy, now realizing he was free. Himself, Susie, Fritz, and Gabriel were free, now chasing Afton down a dark corridor to an old abandoned safe room. William tried to hide, but wasn't successful. He chose to hide in the exact same suit he took their lives in. Not even remembering that the suit was old and highly unstable, and you shouldn't really wear those suits to begin with, William dies. Jeremy and the other children are able to move on, except one, which I'll talk about eventually, and is submerged in a tomb of his own creation. 30 years go by. A new attraction based on the unsolved mysteries of Freddy Fazbear opens up. Fazbear's Fright. Pieces of the old animatronics are in this building. Bonnie's torso and head are now a lamp. So yeah, my little bunny boy got turned into a lamp. That kind of sucks. In one of the hallways, Bonnie does not show up again in the series. He's kind of just pretty much left behind. I mean, in the mainline games, he does not show up. Like in, Pizzeria Simulator and all that, he does not show up. So, another part of a long and forgotten history, past filled with sorrows. Rest in peace, Jeremy. Now, Hey, I hope all of you liked the video. Part 3, which is Chico, will come out hopefully next Wednesday or Thursday. So stay tuned. And hope you have a lucky day, and see you guys later. Peace!